We all know water is an essential requirement to life on Earth. What you may not know is it could hold the answer to a zero carbon future. We're here in Tasmania to explore why hydro energy matters. Erin, thank you so much for meeting me today. I know you're the acting CEO of Hydro Tasmania. This place is absolutely incredible. Can you tell me a little bit more about the history of Sathana?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sathana is one of 8 power stations we have in the Merseyforth scheme, which is a big part of our hydropower network here in Tasmania. The dam wall was standing on around 100 metres high, and this power station was completed construction in 1971. So a big history here with this power station specifically, but in the broader Hydro Tasmania portfolio, that's one of 30 power stations, and we've been operating hydropower in Tasmania for over 100 years. So a really key asset in our portfolio, and also one with exciting plans for the future.
Erin, so I know this represents one type of hydro facility, and there's several others around Tasmania. Can you tell me the differences?
So there's a few types of ways that we categorise the different hydropower stations, but just firstly I'd say that all of the hydropower assets we have in Tasmania is what is known as conventional hydropower. So that means you've got a water source upriver, in this case a large storage, in a lake, sometimes it's a smaller river, and you're going through a hydropower station, turning a turbine to generate electricity, and then that water is continuing on downriver. So that's what we refer to as conventional hydropower. This asset here, we've got a 100 megawatt turbine in an underground station. Set here at Sathana, we have some flexibility in the generation. It's not one of our deepest storages, it's not one of the shallowest, but it has really good flexibility to harness and complement other forms of generation like wind and solar.
So Erin, this facility can produce 100 megawatts every single hour. Do you know what the total capacity is across all the stations around Tasmania?
Yeah, so in total across our 30 hydropower stations we have over 2,000 megawatts of installed capacity, and that's the maximum amount of electricity that you can produce. Obviously we're not running each one flat out all day every day. In Tasmania annually we produce over 8,000 terawatt hours of energy. So in terms of the total system makeup in Tasmania, around 85% or so in an average inflow year is coming from hydropower, and then we have wind power making up the balance.
I know you guys have got huge goals for the future, so let's just quickly start with this particular, hydro station. What's next?
Yeah, so here we've got a really exciting opportunity to develop a pumped hydro power station. So earlier when I was talking about conventional hydropower, kind of water going one way and downriver out to ocean, pumped hydro is about a circular loop. So what you can do is between 2 storages, here we have an existing storage in Lake Sathana, and we have a really great elevation up to some high hills around the site. So we can create an upper storage up the hill with quite a short connection distance, and then what we can do is when there's excess energy in the system, so you might have wind and solar generating at times of the day where you're not using a lot of power, you can use that to pump water uphill into the upper reservoir, and then when you need the power, when you need to switch the light on, you run it back down and you can generate electricity from the same water over and over in a closed loop. Having assets like a pumped hydro will be really important to the future energy supply in this country.
When I'm over here, I get real energy envy because I can see you're producing so much beautiful, clean electricity, and I know you are sending it back over to the mainland. You use Momentum Energy to help retail that into Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. So Momentum, that's a retail business owned by Hydro Tasmania. They operate across most of the Australian states, and it's a really complementary relationship. So we have this highly flexible energy source in Tasmania. We use about the same amount of generation, energy as we generate, but there's some times when there's more than enough and other times where we can be taking that back. So it's really complementary.
So Erin, are we going to get to a situation, hopefully reasonably soon, where we can transition away from fossil fuels to 100% renewables?
Yes, absolutely. It's all about making the right investments and planning as we see coal retire, bringing in the right mix of renewable assets like hydropower to complement wind and solar and other forms of storage. We can absolutely get there in the longer term.